The views expressed here are those of the authors and do not in any way represent the views of SafeerTV.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to another episode of Ladies First. I'm joined here by my wonderful panelists, Sayyida Sabah, Francesca and Tamara. Assalamu alaikum, ladies. Well, as this is a Muharram special, I really want to focus on the term loyalty. And when we look at Imam Hussein, as we all know the story, that he didn't have a large following, and he had to obviously do what was right, not what was easy. So bringing it back to 2015 and this issue of loyalty, I don't know if you've seen the news, this Ashley Madison website, where we're in a society where it's do what you like, do what you feel, and actually promotes being disloyal. What do we think about that, and how did we feel when we saw that? Because, you know, I'm looking at the events of Karbala and not having people back you up, or having a certain mindset and following it, whether it's good or bad. And this Ashley Madison site really says volumes to me about where we are as a society, that people would pay for a service, because that's what it is, wasn't it? A paid for service
for a married couple.
And it's people from the government and people from, you know, all sorts of high sort of posts that are paying.
And wasn't it meant to hide infidelity?
Yes, within marriage.
But the irony is
it's all been exposed.
It's all been exposed. So what was the reason of exposing it then, do you think? Was there a moral reason why this was done, or was it to show people that there's something like that out there? Because a lot of big figures have fallen because of this.
Yeah.
What did you guys think about it when you heard it?
Well, obviously it draws attention, first of all. It's quite, you know, whoa, it's big news, and it's quite, you know,
it's a big
scary.
News because a lot of people, especially...
I think what was shocking about it was the fact that people would willingly pay for a membership service where you can, you know, it's like doing your online shopping. You sort of go in and this is what I'm looking for, and sort of select different
normalising
options.
this thing.
Yeah, it is normalising. I mean, the reality is that, you know, infidelity's happened since, you know, the beginning of time. People have had an urge to do whatever it is, and they've done it. But I think
to make business out of it, and start making money out of it. That's a different level.
It, and I think what was shocking was how common, and you know, I think there was a guy in America who was quite high up in the police service, and he actually killed himself because it had been exposed that he was on, you know, he had signed up, had membership with the website and stuff. So I think it's kind of shocking, but at the same time it's not, because human beings are human beings, and they get up to things. Just to pay for it, it's kind of made it a bit neater, so to speak.
What's also jumped into my head is that when speaking to people who are not Shia, and even some Shias who are not practicing per se, what I've heard a lot about, you know, how we commemorate, we remember Muharram and the events of Karbala, is that they say people do this, especially our sect, because we feel guilty about what's happened. And it's a way of us kind of purging ourselves, that if we were in the same position today, what would we stand for? And they laugh at it because they're like, well, it's guilt really. There's nothing sincere about commemorating what had happened. There's nothing that really can be learned other than your guilt. What would you say to something like that?
It's not about the guilt. I don't know. It depends on how you're looking at it, because it's the importance of Imam Hussein's revolt against the injustice and against that false, you know, like against Yazid, who was a false ruler. You know, he was supposed to be the ruler of the Muslims, but he had nothing to do with Islam, and we know that. Everyone knows that, and it's all, you know, it's in history books. So it's not just a Shia thing. Everyone knows about it. It's a very important point in history, because that's when we know, you know, something went wrong in Islam. You know, who do we take our Islam from? If Imam Hussein alayhi salam did not stand up to that tyrant, then we just would have followed the Islam that came from Yazid. And
true Islam wouldn't be alive today.
Exactly, we wouldn't have any source to go back to, because it's him and his Sahaba and the rest of them that we will be taking our Islam from. So we won't be able to distinguish between who's good and who's bad. Who do I take my Islam from? But it's a very dangerous thing to say.
Is it only just that, or does it make you look at your own lives and your own relationships and say, look, if I was in a situation, who would I really have as friends? And I'm sure every one of us in our lives have been through some situations where we could count our friends on maybe one hand, maybe.
But you'll always know the difference. I mean, you'll have ones that are closer to you because they understand you better and you understand them better. Then you'll have ones that are slightly distant from you because you don't necessarily see eye to eye with everything. But you'll know. You'll know who to turn to at the right time for the right thing, if that makes sense.
And there are different reasons for disloyalty. One of it is you justify, the justification. You create those reasons why you had to be disloyal. Let's say, well, I don't know, my wife, she never looked after herself, or my husband never really cared for me, or whatever it is. You find
you make excuses.
Or make excuses, even probably like with Imam Hussein. I'm poor. I come from a poor. I've got children to look after. I need the money. You've been paid for. Perhaps I don't know what it is. To join the other side. So you will find excuses. Not to look at yourself as a bad person. You'll excuse yourself. Another one is perhaps it's lack of confidence as well. When you're disloyal, it's that adrenaline rush that goes through that gives you gives you a false sense of power and control and confidence. So you feel strong, and you do it. Once you start doing it, once you're disloyal with a small thing, then it can go on and
That's
on with
really
bigger issues.
Because I was going to ask, does everyone have their own definition of what loyalty is? Or is there a unified, standardized, this is what loyalty means? Because to some people, I remember reading Nelson Mandela's biography, and I think most people have seen the film. And then his Winnie Mandela, she was really loyal to him while he was, I don't know how many years he was in prison.
Years, I think,
but it was a good chunk, and that was all of her youth, etc. And then their marriage unraveled, and then I remember in the film he kept saying, loyalty, Winnie, that's what he would call her, Winnie Mandela. Loyalty, you need to show loyalty. And I was thinking, but hold on, we're all fallible. We all have our breaking points. Is it fair to say that, even with friendships, sometimes you may not know that you're not being loyal. Maybe you think you're doing something beneficial, or you simply can't show up when you need to at that time. Is that being not loyal, or is that
disloyalty? Or
I think it depends on what your intentions are. I mean, if you've got, if you're expected to be somewhere and for some reason you can't be there, and there's a genuine reason behind that, and your relationship is good enough with that other person, then there should be no reason that you can't say this is why this has happened, or something like that, and that other person be able to accept that you have that relationship. I think in terms of loyalty, it really is based on the relationship between those two people. If you both have the same idea of what loyalty is, I mean, loyalty to some people is,
it's trust.
You will defend me at all costs.
Right.
As you go out and kill someone, that kind of thing.
Or you're not going to use my identity to go and make some dodgy business, or because I trust you with my address, with my national insurance number, perhaps, and you can do whatever you want with it. Trust. It's a matter of trust.
So sometimes it can be blurry. You might know something about something that's going on in the person's life, and you don't tell the person for whatever reason, and when they find out, they're like, but you were my friend, why didn't you tell me? Is that being disloyal, or is that
not necessarily? I mean, if you
the grey areas,
these are grey areas. I mean, sometimes you know that by saying certain thing to your friend, she's not going to react very well to it, so you'd rather just let time sort of reveal itself.
And Islamically, what is the concept of loyalty? Are we told what it means to be
loyal,
moral and loyal? What does that mean when you try and break it down? What does that mean? That
Well, not cheating, not lying, you know, being trustworthy.
Being righteous, really, isn't it? Following the righteous path.
Exactly. You know,
But
when
following the sort of fundamental laws.
Naturally being righteous, because my righteous and somebody else's righteous might be different.
Well, our society doesn't have, we don't have a high level of what isn't righteous. I mean, if you look at the things that happen in the media and things like that, righteousness and piety, they're actually characteristics that are not celebrated. What is celebrated is being bad,
evil,
getting away with things.
And
I think that's what's taken out with this story.
Immoral behaviour.
And there is a distinction here between not doing enough for your friend, which can't be regarded as disloyalty, and doing something actually, you know, that breaks the trust, let's say, you know, misusing the trust that they you know, that you had with your friend. That's a complete, you know, that's two different things.
I think you've picked a really good point there, because I mean, I firmly believe we're coming nearer the end of times, especially with the current affairs and situations in the world. And it does say nearer the end of the times, you know, good will be seen as bad and bad will be seen as good. And immoral behaviour, anything that's evil, anything that's bad, is going to be celebrated. It's almost like it's, you know, romanticised or glamorised, you know, for public.
It's the way to go.
But isn't it linked with courage? It's linked with courage as well. If you're not confident in yourself and have a voice to say, this is what I think is wrong. We can't even voice what we think is wrong, because we could get sued, we could get, you know, kicked out of our jobs.
In fear all the time. It's constant fear.
Like even from the story of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, you know, when he came back to his people and he said, for the people who actually were with him and they were loyal to him, and he went to them and he said, so who, you know, those of you who cannot stay with me, because you know, they knew that they were going to die, those of you who cannot stay with me, you know, you're allowed to go, wasn't it?
Yes,
wasn't that
I
how
think the tent, the lights were dimmed, and he would
exactly. So that is not necessarily disloyalty. That, you know, like you mentioned, it's weakness. You know, can I do it? Can I continue with it? Am I?
But some people would say that's disloyal, that you would leave someone in their hour of need.
Disloyal is when you do it behind their back, when they, you know, when they.
I think I agree with you there. I think when the person is in need, and especially you're talking about Imam Hussein here, I mean, surely you want to follow the path right to the end.
I like to think that we would all make the right decision, but we, you know, we're
nice
human and we don't know. It's very nice to say.
But if we all did that, I think we'd all be saints, wouldn't we, as well? So, you know.
And when you're facing death, you know,
when you see your children are going to be facing death, would you be?
But then again, I have an issue. I mean, I'm the type of person, I choose my friends very carefully, and everybody is associates. My friends become my family, and especially in the Muslim community, I have this romantic idea that we're all brothers and sisters, and if I went without something, you would give it to me, whether that would happen. But this idea of leaving somebody by themselves to face, I mean, he knew what he was going to walk into, and to value yourself over others, it's kind of heartbreaking. You know, as friends when you're younger, you're like, even if you had a friend, if you had a friend who was not doing, no, she wasn't, we were all there. Like, well,
that's what they say, you know, a friend in need is a friend indeed, or so. So that's when you really know who your true friends are, is when you're at your worst and your hardest time.
I mean, I think with the loyalty thing and talking about people that maybe are disloyal, I think you have to look at what experiences they've had, because if you've come from an environment where people haven't supported you and people haven't been there, actually a lot of people may not know how to be loyal because they've not actually experienced what that is like for someone to be that to you. So I think sometimes when we look at things and we're like, oh, you know, and I had this friend and she was so disloyal to me, and it's like, well, hang on a minute, let's not just do a sweeping statement.
It's not black and white.
It's not, and human beings aren't. And if you could have come from an environment or a relationship where you've been treated in such a way that you don't know what loyalty is, because no one's ever shown it to you. So I think sometimes we can get a bit sort of, we put these expectations on people as if we all have the same and our experiences are all the same and we all have the same level of emotions, and that's just simply not the case. You know, to have courage, well, you know, I think in order to develop courage, you have to go through some really pretty rubbish times, and to be able to develop that yourself. But sometimes, you know, you need other people to show you how to be courageous. You need someone else to show you how to be loyal. And it's not so straightforward as just saying, oh, I'm your friend, so therefore I'm going to be loyal to you. Like I said, loyalty is you know, I went out and I smashed my car into a tree and I gave your name to the police officer,
Yeah.
but I know that you're loyal, Ruby. So
Are you trying to tell me something? Because we do look alike.
The definition of loyalty is that's what I'm saying. It's different, and I think also loyalty should be, you know, if you're going to be loyal to someone, it has to be beneficial for both of you.
Do you think so?
I
To an
find that
extent.
difficult.
Really? Yeah, to an extent. I think to an extent, because if what you're saying to me is that I'm to be loyal to you, but you're going to go out and do something really reckless, and you should know better, and then by me being loyalty to you, then we're both in the pan together.
See, I would interpret that differently.
I'm not going to help you dig up, you know,
No, I would do like
whatever.
I think there's an extent.
a clearing process.
there's an extent.
If you're on my team, if you're a musketeer, then it's all for one for all. And I really think that because you're in my little group, whatever happens, you need to have my back. Because you know me, you know what I would do and I wouldn't do.
Unless it goes against my principles, unless it goes against our morals.
Yes, but that's why I'm saying if you're in my group, we've had a relationship. For me, I am a stickler for loyalty. Personally, I can tolerate anything.
Regardless if the person's wrong or right, though, just like you said, you know, provided it doesn't go against your morals or your principles.
If you're my friend or my family, which are my friends, you would have that relationship where you would say, Ruby, I think you've lost your marbles.
Yeah.
I am not going to cross the road with a truck coming with you.
Yeah.
You would have that. But if I'm going into something, I want to know that you have my back completely. So if Joe Bloggs comes and tells you something about me, you know me well enough to say, sorry, that doesn't sound like Ruby. And you would come back and tell me, Joe Bloggs said this about you. I'm like, okay, now I'm prepared. I can go about things and maybe, you know, change the way I do things. But anything else, for me personally, I can tolerate almost anything. But disloyalty, I cannot tolerate.
No,
It's just my stick. I just feel that because I would do what I can for you, and you need to do that for me. But if you choose not to, we have a problem with our relationship here. Houston, we have a problem. Somebody needs to tell me what's going on.
But it's just like, again, if we link it to Muawiyah and Yazid, what they were doing is that, okay, we'll pay you money. We'll make sure you live an amazing life, but you have to be loyal to me regardless of how we're ruling the country. So exactly. So then surely if it becomes a business thing then
But
at the end of the
loyalty.
day.
That's just
not
business.
loyalty.
That's a business
business.
deal. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but it's the same kind of thing. I would do this for you, therefore you should do this for me.
That's not loyal. I don't think loyalty is something that you barter with.
No.
It's natural. It's almost like you love somebody enough.
It's
You
mutual.
know that enough
Yeah.
It's a mutual
that you would
thing.
do. You know what's inherently what is right and what is wrong.
Like just say for example, I have a brother who's on the wrong track, and I know he is, and I can see he's heading on the wrong track, and but I'm still gonna be there for him as a sister. You know, for him to fall back on. That's loyalty.
See, I'm different, and I've been in this situation where I'll say, you know what, I really don't like what you're doing. This is not who and what we are about. Don't know what you're going through, but this is not cool. I will make the person know that I really don't support them, and when you come to your senses, call me. I might be
Maybe
there, I might not, I
that
don't
is your
know.
way of actually supporting them. This is your way of supporting
Because
them.
you can't.
That's your way of being loyal to them.
I'm not going to watch you, you know, make a fool out of yourself because you're making a fool out of me, especially if we're in a family relationship, and I'm not going to condone that behaviour where, oh, you just have to go through things. And no, this is where I stand. This is where you stand. If things change, call me, but I'm not going to watch you make a complete.
But I do see people do that. I see families do that. Their kids are being got on their
that
off track.
unconditional love thing.
That does
I
more
do see
harm
people-
than it actually
Yeah, I
helps.
agree. Yeah, it does.
It's almost like
It
saying
does.
it's giving a dose of tough love. As in, I don't accept what you're doing. I mean, it doesn't change the nature of the relationship if it's your child. It's your child. You are still that child's parent. But I think, to be honest, I don't think it's as black and white as that. I think it completely depends on the context. I've had friends that have done things, I've not agreed with it. I've said I've not agreed with it, but I've not closed the door to them because that to me is... Because I think when you're going through a hard time, you're going through a dark time, that's actually when people leave you. And I think for me personally, even if I don't agree with what you're doing, I will say, like, look, this is not why I agree. I don't agree, this is what you're doing. But actually, sometimes make that stance as in, no, I'm backing out kind of thing, call me when you're done. For me, I don't agree with that. If I said I'm going to be there, I'm going to be there. You may mess up. I will tell you if you've messed up that I don't agree with it. But
that's what I'm saying. You're saying it. You voice it. You're just not
but
like.
the doors are open for
but
you
the
to come
doors are
back.
always open.
Yeah, it's just like
it's,
you know, with the horror, is it you know, how he'd done a U-turn. Again, you know, as Muslims, they had the door open for him to enter into their
because
group.
he identified what he did. But you have some
similarly,
people who just get so caught up in what they're doing, they want to drag you down with them, and that's when you're like,
no,
I
you
can't.
have to protect yourself.
Exactly, that's what I mean.
That's what I'm saying about the loyalty thing. I mean, loyalty for me is not going all out and okay, if you're going to jump, let's just jump together. I'm not talking about that. What I'm saying is that, you know, if you're going to make this decision, I'm here, I don't agree with your decision, but I'm not closing the door on you. And I think that for me is what loyalty is about. And if I say I'm going to be there, then I'm going to be there. And I mean that.
And there's
you're going to have to, be there by advice,
and there's
support
a
of them.
comfort in that. And that's,
Absolutely.
I think for me, the story that was so heartbreaking was that there were a lot of people that maybe he thought would be there or should have been there, and they weren't. And there's a comfort knowing that someone out of your 2 friends or 4 friends is going to be there. And when they're not, and you're faced with adversity, it really is difficult, and it can shake your faith.
Of course.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about the imam, I'm just talking about in general. It can really shake your faith because you can't see goodness if there's not one person out there for you. And I'll never forget the story of my head teacher at the time. We thought she was so brave. Her son, she was a head, and obviously you all respect your head teacher, she's the top cheese. And she came out in assembly and she had told us the story that her son had stolen a watch, and how and all the parents were shocked. Oh my God, your son, you know. And she had gone to the police and said, look, you know, you have a problem. You need to face up to it, and I don't condone you because you're pulling everybody else down with you, but I will be here. When you sit down, you need to be in that situation where you think about what you've done and the ramifications. And again, going back to Imam Hussein, the ramifications, I mean, you know, just when I hear the story,
wow, that needs a lot of strength
it does,
and
as
probably
parents.
helped her child, you know,
And
preventing him from doing bigger things in the future.
Is it prevention though? Because I don't think that's necessarily
it can
the case
be
for all
actually,
children.
because
for some yes, but for others no.
No, but I
think
commend
other
her
kids,
for her
Yes.
courage.
it
My
would actually
point
make
Absolutely.
it
was,
worse.
I
it
commend her for her
depends.
courage of speaking about it, because
Yeah.
at
As well.
that time, coming to parents at parents' evening and saying, look, because of my experience of children, and this has happened in my household, it's given me more compassion. I can see things. I commend her because the governors could have kicked her out, saying, "Oh my God, you know, you've got this going on. What kind of example are you going to be for our children?"
Yeah.
So I commended her for her courage and believing in standing, you know, tight to her beliefs. But going back to the story of Muharram and Imam Hussein, I think we know it's very graphic and it's very tragic, but that's the thing for me personally that moved me, that the feeling of going to my first majlis, and I didn't want to go, to be honest with you, because you know you get used to the routine that everybody's crying and wailing, and it almost becomes like a theatrical production. You're thinking, oh, you know. But the story of just sitting there quietly and imagining how alone he must have been, and how important, how things may have possibly been different. Allah's the best of planners. Had he had a number of
People
large,
with
you know, loyal people that would have, not large loyal people, but a large amount of people that would have supported him, things could have been so different. So I feel let down of what could have been.
But then how many of us in this day and age have really experienced true friendship? You know, does that really exist anymore? Because I mean, we're talking about...
It does.
It does. It does. I do think it does. But, you know, for some people, I've known of some people that they've actually got, they don't really have, they have acquaintances, but they don't have any
Actual
close
real
friends. Yeah,
friends,
any real friends.
Yeah,
That's
they are
really
rare.
sad.
Real friends are rare.
Real friendship is, you know, it's a rarity.
Well, you can change
these
the world
days.
with a few good friends.
All you need is one or two. really good friends, and that makes it worth it. Yeah.
A really touching subject. I hope, my beloved audience, you have gained something from this experience, and inshallah, let us remind ourselves that loyalty, friendship is very important, and maybe, you know, for someone we haven't spoken to in a while, pick up the phone and reconnect. It's been a pleasure to have you all. Hope to see you soon. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
If you have been affected by any of the issues raised in Ladies First, then the following organizations may be able to provide help and advice.